This is a video about Xenos armies in Warhammer Age of Sigmar for Warhammer 40k players and beginners. Hello, this is Chris speaking, 60 Goblins and 1 Brush. This is the third part of a series of tutorials that I've been asked to do for people who want to start Age of Sigmar or who want to migrate from Warhammer 40k to Age of Sigmar or also play Age of Sigmar. Today the topic is Xenos armies, which in Warhammer 40k is non-human armies. In 40k even the Eldar, the elves, are Xenos. And the most terrible of all Xenos armies, the Tyranids, do not exist in Age of Sigmar because it's basically only one world, not several worlds, not several galaxies, so this would be a very quick, short fight and everything would be assimilated. There is something like the Necrons, but I will make a separate videos for that. For the undead, they do not count as Xenos because they are undead humans. It's not a different race. But there are some Xenos armies, very few that you could title Xenos. First of all, the Skaven. Nobody knows where the Skaven came from. They probably really came from another world, tunneling through warp tunnels and arriving in the old world as well, and now also in Age of Sigmar. They are intelligent red men who worship the Great Horned Rat, who is now the 5th Chaos God. They are indeed very intelligent. They're very good at magic, very good at fighting, although only in the sense of backstabbing and ambushing. And they're very good at artillery. And they're also very good at Frankenstein technology. Yeah? They create monsters by sewing parts together. They're very sinister and megalomaniac, and they're addicted to warpstone, a pure magical substance from outer space that they consume like cocaine. And they're always good in foiling the plans of everyone else. They have their own agenda, which nobody really knows about except the Great Horned Rat. And probably they don't know about it themselves because they have a council of 13, there's 13 factions and they all work against each other. But for you as a player, it means that you have several ways to play the Skaven. There are even Nurgle followers of the Skaven who are called Plague Monks. The fluff is fun, they're fun to play, but the aesthetics are not everyone's cup of tea. Next are the 4 types of Chaos Demons. They can be counted as Xenos because they are from another world, they're from the Chaos realms. So basically everything that is from the old world and that has reappeared in Sigmar's realms is not Xenos. So not only humans but also elves and dwarves and orcs, they're all indigenous, they don't count as Xenos. Sigmar is the main god of the game. He used to be a human being, but then he was lifted up into godhood, apotheosis. And he was the only god who survived the destruction of the old world unscathed, and he was rescued by a star dragon. And together they recreated something like the old world from the energy of the old world, which had been destroyed by chaos, especially Archaon, the ever-chosen of chaos, the chaos champion of all 4 gods. So while Archaon has his own army, the ever-chosen, which is part of Slaves to Darkness, the Chaos Warriors, so to say. There are, of course, just like in 40k, there are in Age of Sigmar, the demons of the 4 Chaos Gods. Nurgle, Khorne, Tzeentch and Slaanesh. So you can use your demon armies in AOS. You don't have to change anything, just buy a battle tome. And just like in 40k, where humans get converted by the Chaos Gods into Nurgle and Tzeentch followers and so on, you have similar but different looking followers of those 4 Chaos Gods mortal followers, but they also have been perverted and converted and reshaped by the four gods. So you have one battle tome for each god, and in every battle tome there are demon units and mortal units. Just now the new Slaanesh Shadow Knights battle tome came out with many new mortal Slaanesh units. Slaanesh units are very fast, Khorne units are very brutal, aggressive, and Nurgle units are very tough and infectious, and Tzeentch units are very good in magic and sometimes also fast and flying. And of course their aim is to destroy the whole world, or to convert them into chaos, to incorporate them into the chaos realms. And the forces of order are of course arrayed against them to stop them. I will make another video about the Grand Alliances, Order, Chaos, Destruction, and Death. So all the Chaos Grand Alliance armies are more or less Xenos. Xenos or converted humans. Skaven, Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, Slaanesh. Slaves to Darkness are humans following the Chaos Gods without a specific alliance. And the Beasts of Chaos, they're half chaos, half humans. Yeah, they're basically transformed human beings, half beast, half human. A bit like gene stealer cults. They're not Tyranids, but they're almost Tyranids. So they're human, but they're already very much tainted by chaos. And the last army that could maybe be called Xenos are the Slann, the great star mages of the Seraphon, in the old game called Lizard Men. To explain this, I have to go into the fluff, into the history a little bit. The old world was a planet covered by forest, by jungle. And then the old ones came. The old ones were gods, probably the same gods that created the universe we call Warhammer 40k. But before they vanished in both games, in Warhammer Fantasy, they created a race that would put their plans into action, and also who resembled them. So the old ones probably looked a little bit like Slann, like big magical toads. Like the Slann, like the Seraphon now, the old ones, they were very, very powerful, and they could travel the worlds, they could travel the galaxies. They just opened portals into another world, and then they could zoom back and forth. But this magical zooming around and opening portals all the time created rifts in the fabric of reality, and the Chaos Gods were able to enter the worlds, and also the old world. Meanwhile, the old ones had already created other races, peaceful races like the elves, and later the dwarves, and much later the humans. But all these peaceful races, they weren't helpful in the defense of the world. So the first thing they did when chaos flooded the old world was to create warriors. And together with the Slann, they transformed some native beasts, some lizards, into intelligent warriors. And the first were those Soros warriors. And for every new demon kind they encountered, they created more Seraphon, more lizard men. When that wasn't enough, the old ones created ogres, dragon ogres, giants, Femir, and many other races, many of which were actually perverted and converted by chaos, and are now part of the Beasts of Chaos. And when that all had failed, and the old ones disappeared and left the old world to its own devices, the elves, the Eldar of the old world, started to become a martial race. They used to be peaceful, but the first High King of the elves, Anarion, who also tamed dragons, he united all the elves because he said, okay, either we fight chaos now or we will all die. Then the dwarves also joined the fray, now called Fire Slayers and Keratin Overlords and Dispossessed. There will be more videos about them too. And also the humans started fighting against chaos, but also got converted by chaos a lot. And because all these races had been created by the old ones at some point, either just as experiments or to populate the jungles or to defend against chaos, all these are not Xenos. They're all from the old world, originated. The only race that is a little bit more alien are the Slann, because they were created in the image of the old ones. So to summarize, the Xenos, the aliens in AOS, are the Skaven, the red people, then the four chaos demon factions with their mortal followers, and lastly the Slann, the Seraphon. Everything else, from elves to orcs, goblins called grots, and troggoths, trolls, and even death, undead, cannot be considered aliens, cannot be considered Xenos, because it is all from the old world. It has existed there already and has now been recreated in the mortal realms. A bit of a special role is occupied by the Stormcast Eternals, the poster boys of the game and Sigmar's own army, because they are human heroes who have been reforged into demigods. So they're neither alien nor are they from the old world. They're new somehow, own category. So in Age of Sigmar, the greenskins, the orcs and goblins, the grots, cannot be considered Xenos, but in the old fantasy world, maybe. Right now they're all the worshippers of Gorka Morka, of the two ancient gods Gork and Mork, the trolls, the grots, the aurochs, and the ogres. They're all just more or less normal inhabitants of the mortal realms, worshippers of Gorka Morka, who is part of the pantheon of Sigmar's gods who fight against chaos, or at least was part initially. I will make a video separately about the Grand Alliance's order, chaos, destruction and death. Well, in the previous game, in the old role-playing game, I think, and I asked a specialist and he agrees, the role of the greenskins or where they came from was never clear. Were they alien invaders like the Skaven, or were they created by the old ones, or did they come somewhere else? It's clear that they do not have the same genesis as in the Lord of the Rings, where they were perverted elves, nor do the elves have the same role in Warhammer as in the Lord of the Rings. In Warhammer Fantasy or Age of Sigmar, the oldest race are the Seraphon, not the elves. But the elves are the second oldest, probably. Although that is not clear either, much more probably even the giants and the dragon ogres and the female were much older than the elves. They were probably the first races after the Slann and the Seraphon. The dragons too, probably. And when exactly the orcs came, or the greenskins, and from where, is really not so clear. There are different versions over the history of Warhammer, and I think Games Workshop, maybe on purpose, never really committed to one version or another. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Leave your questions and comments below. I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing or joining me on Patreon or recommending the videos to your friends, and see you soon.